Okay, so it looks like I'm live. Welcome to this podcast. Welcome to this live on Instagram today. I'm looking for Ms Stephanie. Let's see, how do I get Ms Stephanie to join? Um, there you are. Let's see here. So just be patient with us because I'm new at, how do you add somebody? I'm waving to you. All right. So this is Nubia of NubianQueen Podcast, NubianQueen Nation Podcast. And we are live on Instagram for the very first time. Okay. Send a request. So we're going to be talking about surviving holiday wintertime blues as Miss Stephanie. Yay! We did it! What? Alrighty then. Hello, as our friends and family are coming in there, and our boss Hajabi group is coming in. I just love it. So how are you today? How are you doing? How are you
I'm
doing?
good. I'm good. I've been looking forward to this, been waiting for it all day. I'm excited. I'm happy to be here.
Well, I'm glad that that you're very well skilled at talking about mental health. You give us
Okay.
really good positive tips, Monday through Friday. So if while people are still coming in, like I said, I'm Nubia of Nubian Queen Nation Podcast. So
Mhm.
hopefully, after we get this done, I can hopefully save it. I want to put it also over on YouTube. And then I'm also recording our voices so I can put it over on our podcast, over on Spotify, if that's okay with you.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Hmm.
So while we're getting all warmed up, if you can just introduce yourself. I love how you introduce yourself. And I kind of try to remember it from memory because you do it every single morning.
Yeah.
And that's how I typed it in. That's how I got to type it into the info box because I said, okay, this is what she says. So, and you and I met, let me just start with you and I met at a content creation class in Brooklyn, New York.
Yes. Yes, we
And that
did.
was
Yes,
this
we
past
did.
summer. That was this past summer. And so we've been connecting with our group. That's They're from all over New Jersey, Brooklyn. I'm in, New England here. And so we have weekly sessions on learning how to present content. And that's how I met you. So if you can go ahead and just introduce yourself and give us your savvy intro.
Okay. Hey everyone, Stephanie Shelton, CEO and founder of Naires House. Naires House is a faith-based, grassroots, culturally sensitive alternative to traditional mental health services in underserved communities for Black women. We provide
Yes.
services where there are inequities and disparities in services for Black women. We are the gateway. We are the inroad to traditional mental health services where we present alternatives such as dance, music, song, journaling, spoken word, meditation. Those are the things that we offer as a person prepares and gets accustomed to talking about themselves and regaining their voice, regaining
Hmm.
their strength. That's what Naires House is about.
Yay. And so I'm also, like I said, again, for my podcast over here, this is Nubia of Nubian Queen Nation Podcast. Welcome. We have Miss Stephanie here. And so the whole journey of being able to talk about mental health, can you explain to us what made you go in that direction, or you speak about it often, something to do with Naires House? What can you tell us a little bit about Naires House and what made you start down this path for this journey?
Okay, so Naires House was developed and created based on my middle daughter. I gave birth to three daughters, and my middle daughter in 2019, 3 years ago, was murdered.
Mhm.
And she was murdered by the guy that she was dating, who in
Mhm.
turn committed suicide. And, a
Mhm.
lot of people say, well, why don't you do something on domestic violence? Why don't, you do something related to that? And I felt like when we are stronger mentally, Like when we address those issues, such as trauma from our past and how we view ourselves and how we see ourselves, it helps us to make better choices. Now, I'm not saying that my daughter's incident would have turned out differently, but I was moved by, I know that my daughter loved hard, loved seriously, put a lot of things and people before herself. She, cared so very much. And I think sometimes Black women, we get lost in that. We get lost in caring. We get lost in that superwoman syndrome that we can do it all.
Save the world.
Fix everything. We can fix people. We can do all, and we get lost in that. And, sometimes it's to our detriment. Like I lost a child, who loved someone so hard and loved a person, feeling like love is what was going to help them to heal while she was trying to heal. I wasn't always in my children's life because of a lifestyle that I led. And when I began to get myself together in the way that society measures, working, going back to school, getting degrees, I still had not addressed the trauma in my life. So now I was raising children through trauma and making mistakes and causing harm and doing the very best I can, because I found it difficult to talk to other women because we all put on this face. I got this. I know how to parent. Oh, you going through that, girl? Sorry. All of that. So I found it difficult to find other women that I could really lay it out on the line with. So, I am doing this based on my own healing journey, based on my own process with healing from trauma. So this is not just something I learned in a book. This is something I live every day and have lived.
Right. And thank you for your transparency too. Thank you for because I know that's going to help somebody, even if it just helps one other person. But you give such good advice with your reels that you've been doing Monday through Friday, and so I just figured we just need to have this talk. It's the holiday season, and I'm reading different people's their messages on Facebook, and some people are putting their messages on Instagram. There's a lot of lonely and sad people right now, and whenever the holiday comes, it's just not a happy place for them. So with all the the advice and the tips that you give us, I thought this would be a good time to talk about holiday blues and just depression. That's a subject that people don't like to talk about it, but there's a lot of people going through not just holiday blues, but just depression. So I was hoping you can come on and give us some tips. And thank you for sharing the story of Naires House, is because of your life experience with your daughter.
Yes.
So thank you for sharing that.
Well, I want to start off by saying this about depression. I think oftentimes when we are feeling sad, when we are feeling melancholy, right away we say, oh, I'm feeling depressed. I'm depressed. In order to be assessed or evaluated or diagnosed with depression, that's a period of deep sadness that you go through for at least 2 weeks. That's not, I broke up with my boo and I'm feeling depressed. That's not, things aren't going my way. Like I thought that, I would have a job by now. I thought that I would have my own home by now. And it's something that we go through temporarily. You have to be in this state for at least 2 weeks, along with, the things that normally brought you joy and happiness, you just have no interest in. You can't even identify a feeling. You're not feeling anything. Everything is just blank. Everything is like, whatever. I'm not happy. I'm not sad. I'm not up, I'm not down, I'm not anything. And that has to last for at least 2 weeks before it is diagnosed as depression. So I think a lot of times we just grab hold to words and then just use them and say that we are depressed. And sometimes people aren't really depressed.
Sometimes
Sometimes,
it's anxiety, right? Anxiety too. I
well,
mean, I don't mean to do that because, like I said, we're just coming off of a pandemic, and there's a lot of people that
yes,
are they're anxious. They're feeling feelings that they probably never actually identified with before, and overwhelmed.
right. Now, the same thing with anxiety. Anxiety is feeling an intense feeling of a pressure and a need to do based on just everyday situations. You know, it's persistent, and you are worried and fearful just about everyday things. You know, I got to get up and go to work. You know, I got to take a shower. You know, I have to make breakfast for the children. When that becomes intense and fearful and makes you feel like I have to stop and I don't want to do anything, that is anxiety. That is how we define, you know, anxiety. And some of the tips that I like to give people for anxiety especially is to have a coping toolbox. And you prepare this toolbox when you're not going through an episode. You prepare the toolbox when things are going pretty good.
On a good
So,
day, when you're
huh?
having a good day, when you're
Yeah,
having a good day.
yeah,
And even before you go all the way into the tips, you know, coming from, a church background, I mean, you say that you're sad, you're depressed, you have anxiety. First of all, people will say you need to take it to the Lord. And I'm not discounting that, because you do need to take
yes.
it, pray, ask God to help you. So we're not going to discount that. But there are some tools that you need to use. You just can't, like, just, for some people it doesn't work to just lay it on the altar. I'm not
Right.
saying that it doesn't happen immediately for some people, is what I'm trying to say. So after praying
Absolutely.
and seeking
And,
that help in that way.
and you have to know yourself. Like, after I pray about a thing, and as you say, lay something on the altar, God speaks. And, you know, like, I was inclined after prayer, after talking with people, after talking with spiritual leadership, I knew that I needed more than just talking to the pastor, just talking to the elders. Like, we all know these things, but we allow stigma to prevent us from going further. Like, I have no problem saying that I've been in therapy, am in therapy, and will continue to be in therapy, because this is what Stephanie needs. But I also have a strong faith. So I'm not discounting what God is able to do in my life, but I also know that he orders my footsteps, that he gives me direction. He left a book here in the natural on earth for me to follow and for me to seek answers and solutions. You know?
Yes, and just like Miss Halima said, we need additional tools, and God gave us those tools and resources. So true, so
Yes,
true. But sometimes,
absolutely.
and like my pastor in Tampa back in the day, he used to say, sometimes you just need to talk to somebody with a little bit of skin wrapped up on them, wrapped around them. Not just as the Holy Spirit, not just God.
Right,
You need to talk to somebody with some flesh on them.
right,
hmm
right. So, you know, I agree wholeheartedly, Nubia, that we have to make the decision to, like, if we need some additional support, there's no shame in that. There's no harm in that. If someone else doesn't need that, doesn't make them a better person than I am. This is what Stephanie needed. This is what I sought out. And this is what has kept me going for these past 3 years, you know, knowing what it is that I had to do for myself. And getting back to the coping toolbox, you can put things in the toolbox, like on index cards, like a really funny joke that you heard that really made you laugh. You might need that, you know, one day. So you can put things like that in the toolbox. You can put the name and phone number of a person or persons who you know would be able to talk with you, who are supportive, who would make themselves available on a dime. Because sometimes when we're very anxious or we're feeling very low, we can't even come up with a person's phone number.
That is so
We
true.
can't even uh, maneuver in our phone to say, oh, I need to call Nubia because Nubia understands, and I can't even get my mind together to do that. So in the coping toolbox, I would have that information already written out.
And I know I can remember one time having a sad day, like just one of those days where things were not connecting, and I was sitting in my car and just being transparent, and I had my phone in my hand, and I went from A all the way to Z trying to think of somebody other than my mother and my sisters, my brother, that I could call, that I could trust, that was like maybe within reaching distance of where I was, and I went from A to Z, and I felt like this person might gossip, this person might be, tell, sometimes people ask you, well, how can I pray for you? But then they're like telling your business to everybody. So I went from A to Z, and I just said, I ended up just sitting in the car and just praying and probably had my little cry out, and I moved on. But that is such a good advice to have those phone numbers ahead of time of who you can trust,
Right.
and who's going to pick up. Because sometimes people look at, that can wait. So you do want to know that you have a phone number, somebody you can trust, and that person's going to pick up when you need them.
Right. And you don't want to have to be searching for that. You want to be able to open your box and it's right there. You can also put some inspirational quotes in the things that lift you, that bring you joy, that let you know that, hey, this is not the end. This is just a moment. So those quotes that inspire you, pictures of your loved ones.
That's good.
The people that you love, like, this is who I am connected to, and pictures of, sometimes people call it a bucket list, but those places that you haven't gone to yet, like if you have a desire to go to Hawaii, to go to Paris, to go to the rainforest, put pictures of those things in the toolbox so that you can remain future focused. Like, I haven't done these things yet. I still have things yet to do. And these are the things that are, reminders for us. And we're human, and we have 5 senses. So when we are going through anxiety, when we are going through depression, it's not just our mind that is impacted and affected, by this. Our 5 senses are affected by these things. So you can put things in the toolbox that speak to that. You could put things in, because like we have the sense of smell. So we can put things in there that smell good, the things that we like to smell. Lavender, vanilla, perfumes that we like, essential oils that we like the smell of it. Put it in the toolbox. Create for sound, because we are hearing individuals, and I love music. I like listening to music. So why not create your own playlist?
Yes, I like that idea too.
Create
playlist.
a playlist, the songs that calm you, the songs that remind you of better times. How many times do we hear a song, we'd be like, ooh, that's my song. I can
Brings you back,
remember.
right? That's my jam. Brings you back.
Yeah.
To a happy place.
And it can take you back to a time in your life where things were happier, where things were joyful, where you felt hopeful, and that brought you into this moment. We have touch, and I have a rock. It's a smooth rock that I use, that when I'm getting tense, when I'm getting worried, when I'm becoming anxious, I just rub the rock, and the rock has one word on it, and the word is peace.
I like it.
You
All
know,
right.
and this is what I rub. This is what I do. This is what keeps me moving. You know, the smoothness of the rock,
Mm-hmm.
and that it
Mm-hmm.
is peace. That this is what it is that I
Mm-hmm.
need. You know, and
Mm-hmm.
I am. You know, it helps to keep me grounded.
Mm-hmm.
To get me back, you can use a stress ball. You can use one of them nice fluffy stuffed animals, you know, that feels squishy and nice. Whatever it is that is tactile, that you are going to touch, that is going to create, you know, something for you. And taste. Put some hard candies in there.
All right.
Yeah, you know,
Some sweet.
butterscotch,
Mm.
something sweet, you know, a hard candy, whatever it is that you like, you know, put a hard candy in there. And, you know, like I said, the photos, you know, you can
Mm-hmm.
put a coloring book in there with one or two crayons. It doesn't have to be a lot, but something that's going to give you a visual, because
Mm-hmm.
we are persons that are able to see. And put this in your toolbox, and, you know, keep it there for an emergency. That's your, like, we keep batteries in
Mm-hmm.
the house, we keep
Mm-hmm.
flashlights in the house, we
Mm-hmm.
keep candles in the house.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody has that stash, that if something were to happen,
Mm-hmm.
you keep a radio in the house, you know, for those emergencies. Why
Right.
not keep a box filled with the things that you need if you're having an emergency with anxiety or depression?
That is so good. That is so good. So 5. So smell was like a lavender type thing. So
Mm-hmm.
tell me if I missed any. Sound was like a playlist.
Yes.
And then we had visual, like a coloring book or even pictures.
Mm-hmm.
And then you had touch was the smooth rock. And I have lots of smooth rocks around the house. I think that would be nice to have one. Even, put it in your pocket too. Sometimes just
Yeah,
put that
yeah.
thing in your pocket.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then taste. And I like Miss Salima said, yeah, definitely hard candy. And she says,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, found journaling also helps too. And that's what her therapist recommend or therapists
Mm-hmm.
recommend for her to do at work. And that's a good idea. For some reason, even from when I was in high school, I had journals. But the crazy thing is, when I had a day that I just would need the journal, I couldn't put it on the page. I couldn't put my bad day on the page because it just felt so permanent. And of course, that's crazy because it can be very therapeutic looking back. But I know that there are people who that works very well for them, to put it down on paper and
Mm-hmm.
then you're releasing it. At least you're releasing it and you're letting it go. But these are such good tips. You have anything else that you'd like to share with us?
Journaling, how I started journaling was my thoughts would be overwhelming in my
Mm-hmm.
head,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't have the room for it. So
Mm-hmm.
journaling helped me to take those thoughts from out of
Mm-hmm.
my head running all over the place
Mm-hmm.
and putting them on paper so that I can see them clearly, and then I could address them.
Mm-hmm.
When just in my head, they were all together. And then I really did not know how to express myself. I
Mm-hmm.
learned, like, I grew my voice
Mm-hmm.
through journaling. You
Mm-hmm.
know, because you asked me how I felt, and I would tell you I feel messed up.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a feeling. You know, I
Uh-huh.
learned how to identify some things for myself through journaling.
Mm-hmm.
And the more I journaled, the more I saw patterns. Like
Mm-hmm.
this, when this happened, this followed, and then the next thing followed, and the next thing followed. So I was able to see situations that I created. I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't the victim.
Mm-hmm.
No one was doing this to
Mm-hmm.
me. It was
Mm-hmm.
situations that I put myself in. And it also helped me to change my perception
Mm-hmm.
about things. Not everyone was trying to harm me. But once I put it on paper and was able to look at it, I was able to see, oh, she was just trying to pull my coat or something.
Mm-hmm.
She was just trying to tell me that my slip was showing.
All
She
right.
wasn't coming for me.
Right.
But lost in my own head, the world was against me.
Right. And that's what the enemy
Yes,
does to us, right? And then
absolutely.
especially when you're
Absolutely.
when you have anxiety and you're going through a depression, the enemy wants to get you by yourself
Mm-hmm.
on that little island and make you think that the whole world is against
Yeah.
you, and that you're, so it's like I said, I'm not discounting it, because there's people who are seriously at this time going through, some heavy things, and so these are some really, really, really good tools. And to know, like you said, patterns, know your triggers, right?
Yes.
So if you keep a
Mm-hmm.
journal, and if it's for nothing else but to recognize your own patterns and to recognize your triggers,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes a lot of it's all in our head. It's
Yes.
all in our head,
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And during this time, during the fall and winter, when days are shorter, it gets dark earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Um, a lot of people, myself included,
Mm-hmm.
is affected with SAD. SAD
Mm-hmm.
is seasonal affective disorder.
Okay.
And because there's less daylight hours, there's less light, and people are all bundled up, and we don't recognize how important it is to see each other
Mm-hmm.
and to have the desire to be seen. Like, a lot of us feel invisible anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
then when I'm all bundled up, I've got a scarf on, I've got a hat on, I've got a hood on, I have all of these different things on, and then I really feel like I'm not being seen. So there's a lot of emotions that we can go through during
Mm-hmm.
this time of year. So some of the tips that I use for that is, some people actually buy the lights that are very bright that,
Mm-hmm.
help you, to have more light. What I
Mm-hmm.
do is, during the winter months, I buy a higher watt
Mm-hmm.
light bulb. So that makes
Mm-hmm.
certain areas of the house brighter for me. I try and wear very bright colors during the winter months, so that
Yeah.
I'm brightening up myself.
Yes, I just saw something recently that they said that wearing brighter colors helps, and you know what? I am a person, as I get older, black matches with everything, brown matches with everything. I need to get me some brighter colors. But I wanted to go back to the smell thing. I mean, my brother's on here too. He mentioned, I can just imagine. I wish I could grow honeysuckle in my
Mm.
house, because I can remember when I smell honeysuckle, it takes me back to the backyard of my grandmother's house by the pool. She had a big old bush that
Hmm.
had honeysuckle. And so I remember being a little girl laying on the ground with my sister and my cousins and just pulling the honeysuckle
Yeah.
and putting it to my tongue. So it takes me way back whenever I smell honeysuckle, no
Hmm.
matter where it is. So that's one. So just get your favorite plant or something, whatever
Yes.
you said, like that,
Yeah.
and keep it in your house.
Yeah.
I wish I could grow a honeysuckle plant in my house.
Yeah.
It really does take me way back to childhood as a good memory. Good
Yeah.
memory.
And during this time too, what we eat is key also. Eat a
Mm-hmm.
lot of whole grains,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of grainy foods. Beets are very good.
Mm-hmm.
Avocado is
Mm-hmm.
good.
Mm-hmm.
These are the things that, like, we have to eat so that we are getting better from the inside out.
Eat to live, like that book says. There's a book
Yes,
out there that says eat to live.
absolutely. Absolutely. A lot of it has to do with what we are ingesting also, which is going to create a better mood for us.
Mm-hmm.
During the winter months, one of the things that I try and make most often is cream of wheat, because it brings me back to being home with my mother,
Mm-hmm.
sitting at the table, and breakfast was cream of wheat. So it brings a happiness to me.
Mm-hmm.
It lifts my spirits. Those were good memories for me. So, different things that we eat, the smells of cooking, you know,
Mm-hmm.
can bring us to another place, can put us in a completely different zone. And I hear a lot of people talk about gardening and
Mm-hmm.
doing gardening
Very
inside
good thing. Yeah.
inside the home, even if it's just on your windowsill,
Yes. Yes.
doing the gardening. It's not
Yes.
something that I've tried yet. The last time I tried gardening, I killed a cactus, I think. But
Yes. Yep. Like Miss Helena said, her mother and grandmother knew
yeah,
best. Whenever it comes to this time of year, I start getting my packets of seeds out and I start organizing them and alphabetizing them. And I start my seeds inside like January, February, because
Mhm.
I have to see something growing. It just does something for me, you know.
Yeah.
But, you know, I was in the store today, but now I'm going to have to go to the store and find a box of Cream of Wheat. I haven't had that
Ah,
in years. And I love Cream of Wheat. I'm not even sure if it's even on the shelf
oh,
still.
I
I
buy
haven't
it.
looked for it
I
still.
buy it. You're gonna find it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna
Yeah.
look when I get my box of Cream of Wheat. I'm gonna have to take a screenshot and send it
Yeah.
to you because that's also a good memory for me
Yeah.
too, like you
Yeah,
said.
yeah, I love it. But it brings back the joy. It brings
Hmm.
back being home and being with my sisters and being with my mother and just what breakfast was about, like what it represented. And, you know, sitting around at the table, you know, getting ready for school, you know, getting ready for different events. It just brings back such fond memories. And those are things that we can do to help us get through those winter blues.
Hmm.
You know, it's the
Hmm.
little things. We don't all have to get on a plane and go to Costa Rica or
Although
Aruba.
I'm all
I
for
mean,
that, although.
those things are really, really good too.
Hmm.
But there are things that we can do just on a daily basis that help us to get through this. And I know one last thing that I wanted to say, you know,
Hmm.
if you are experiencing any anxiety, any depression, and feel like you don't have the support that you need, if you on your phone put in 741 741
241.
and 741 twice,
Okay.
741
Hmm.
741, and text the word home, you'll get somebody to chat with you.
Oh wow.
Somebody will be there for you. You can also use 988
Hmm.
instead of calling 911. Call
Hmm.
988. A mental health counselor will talk to you. And I
Okay.
know here in New York City, we have 1-888 New York City
Hmm.
well.
Wow.
So no one ever, you know, because I thought it was key that you mentioned that you looked at your phone and you looked at all these names from A to Z,
Hmm.
and like who can I trust? Who
Hmm.
am I able to call? And that holds true for a lot of people. So I wanted to provide some numbers that you're going to be talking to somebody anonymously who doesn't
Hmm.
know your family, who doesn't know your business, and who's not going to repeat it to anybody. Don't be silent.
Right.
Please
Right.
don't keep those things silent. And just because you don't have immediate support, there is support out there. And
Right.
if you don't want to say it to the people around you because you want to save face, you feel like they're going to think or say a particular thing about you,
Hmm.
please exercise those three numbers that I just came. Save your own life and
Yes. And thank you,
provide
Miss Helena.
those numbers to
Yeah.
someone else.
Yes, Miss Helena put them on the screen for us, so thank you. So,
Hmm.
so that's any state because it was 741 home.
I
Text the word
believe that
home.
one is for any state.
Okay.
988 and the 188 New York City well might be New York
Okay.
only. I'm based in New York, but I
Hmm.
encourage everyone. Every state has a
Hmm.
mental health hotline.
Hmm.
Every state.
That's
So
good.
just
And,
check and see what your mental health hotline is and
hmm,
and use it.
because like you said, so sometimes somebody can have their whole toolbox ready, prepared for them, and if they've gone through all the, it's been some time, if they're feeling some kind of way, and they go through all these tips, call the number, right?
Yes.
Call somebody who you know will be there for you, and call all these different numbers that we have that are on the screen. Thank you, Ms. Halima, for posting that for us. There's also a number that I think I'll attach later on, that a number for veterans is that's they have such a high rate of
Mm,
suicide, they say that there's so many that actually commit suicide per day.
yeah.
So I'll also attach that number to this after this talk. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for
And
having me. And just one
so
last thing, because
sure.
this is crucial during this time. Check
Hmm.
on your friends
Mm,
and If a person comes to you
Mm-hmm.
and says that they're feeling a certain way and, oh, this life is just too much for me, I can't take it, you are not going to make a person harm themselves by asking them, do you feel like harming yourself? Ask the question. Ask the question. Don't be afraid to ask the question. And you can say, you know, some of the statements that you're making is very concerning for me. So just to be sure, I want to ask you this question. Do you feel like harming yourself? Ask the question. And then if they say yes, pursue that. Well, how would you do it? Oh, I would shoot myself. Well, do you have access to a gun? I mean, go through all of the steps. Because people are crying out for help and we're blowing past it. Because we feel like, oh, if I ask them if they're going to harm themselves, then they're going to do it. We're not that powerful.
Right. And like Ms. Halima says, a lot of people put up a very strong front, and so they want to act like they have it all together. But sometimes they want you to ask them, how are you doing? I mean, I'm just serious. Just give me the answer. How are you really and truly feeling? And then stand still for the answer, because sometimes people, we ask for questions and we keep moving. You got to, look them in the eye. How you doing? And wait for the response. Right? Yes. Yes, and every person should check for their a mental health hotline in their own state too. But yes,
absolutely.
Well, this has been so good. I totally appreciate this.
Yes, it has. Thank you so much for
And
asking me.
thank you for what you do on a daily basis. And I I enjoy our weekly time together with our group with Miss Halima and all the sisters that we have in that group. And this type of I don't want to say illness, but this type of, it is an illness, right? It crosses every boundary. It doesn't matter if you're Christian, you're Catholic, you're Muslim, you're this, you're that, whatever. Every person can be touched and affected by this subject. And so that's why I'm glad that we could get together before the holidays have gone, and people can hopefully go back and look over this video and pass this video on to a friend, So we'll figure out how we can save this video, and that it doesn't get deleted, and make sure that it stays up for a while so people can watch it over again.
It's going to tell you what to do when you end it. It'll tell you what to do.
It'll prompt me. Okay.
Yeah, and I think I saw that Halima just sent a photo, so I don't know if what she sent was instructions on how to save it.
Okay.
So
I couldn't see that, but I won't hit things fast. I'll hit things slowly so I can save it.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for what you're doing, and Miss Halima and our group, and everything that she teaches us, and our sisterly bond that we have that crosses all lines. With that group. All right. So enjoy the rest of your week, and I'll see you on the other side.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. Peace and blessings to you.
Okay then. Same to you.
Okay. Bye-bye. Let's see here. Which button? I don't even know how to get out of it. If I exit, if I hit the X button, will it get us out of it? Okay.
Yes.
All right. Here we go.